Yes, Kenya. Tamu sana, tamu sana, tamu sana, yes. One of our fans here has sent me a very interesting video. A video I feel is worth analyzing and discussing here. Have a look at this.
Tumerudi hapa tena kwa sababu ya ile mipango ambaye tulikuwa tumepanga. Tulikuja hapa na tukakubaliana ya kwamba mtatupatia kura na mkasema mtatupatia. Si tulikubaliana namna hiyo? Na si mnaona ni mimi rais? Ni nyinyi mlitupatia. Si tulikuja hapa tukasema bottom up. Bottom up. Ni nyinyi hamukuelewa vile tulikuwa tunamaanisha. Tulimaanisha namna hii, tutatoa vitu kwa bei ya chini tupeleke kwa bei ya juu. Si mnaona serikali imeanza kufanya kazi? Na hawa vijana ya bodaboda tukasema tutasaidia hao. Si mnaona vile ni wengi? Si mnaona vile wanaanguka kwa barabara hovyo hovyo? Tukaona tupandishe mafuta ndio wawache hiyo biashara, watafute kazi nyingine. Na bado hata hii mama mboga hii inaleta shilingi 2 kwa serikali. Tulikuwa tumemwambia tutampatia wheelbarrow, sio kutandika hii vitu kwa barabara kila wakati. Si namna hiyo? Sisi tunakubaliana namna hiyo, my friend. Na sasa iko vijana wanasema sijui William ulituambia utatupatia shilingi bilioni 60. Mimi nauliza nyinyi, wewe uliona wapi pesa ya bure? My friend, hata hiyo kazi kwa vijana hakuna kitu kama hiyo. Hii kazi mtaani, mwende mkatafute mjengo. Ni sawa sawa? Tunakubaliana namna hiyo? Si hata unga ikifika shilingi 500, si Mungu iko?
Yes. Looking at that video, that's probably a hustler trying to earn a living by mocking his fellow hustlers who voted for William Samoei Ruto. And you are seeing his fellow hustlers very happy and enjoying what he's saying. And at the end of it all, those same hustlers is mocking will actually pay him something small for entertaining them. In this video, I want us to dig deep into that story to see exactly the truth that that hustler is trying to pass out to millions of hustlers across the country. If you are watching us for the very first time, subscribe, give this video a like. Yes. Looking at that video, the first thing I'm seeing clearly coming out, hustlers are now coming to terms with the reality that William Ruto lied to them. William Ruto made a fool of them. And if they remember as to why they voted for William Ruto, some are just left confused and maybe just laughing. And I'm saying that because listening at that man mocking the bottoms up, from the way he speaks, you can just see from which part of the country he comes from. And those hustlers listening to him and cheering him up, from their economic activity, you can also just guess from which part of the country they come from. And you are seeing they are cheering him up, an indication that what that hustler is saying is actually true. The hustlers are coming to terms with the reality that William Ruto lied to them. William Ruto fooled them. And that's why most likely they are not being agitated or getting violent with that hustler mocking the bottom-ups. They know that hustler is just speaking the bitter truth, the truth as it is. And then secondly, I'm also seeing a very high possibility where in just less than 50 days of William Ruto's stay in office, a good number of the so-called hustlers have actually lost faith and trust in his narrative, bottom-ups. Yes. I'm seeing a good number of these so-called hustlers have lost hope and trust in that kind of narrative. They now understand that that was just a clever political gimmick by William Ruto and his team to get votes from them. And as the hustler is trying to put it, that bottom-up meant that now prices were to move from bottom to up. Everything was actually to go up. And that's also true because just some few days ago, William Ruto announced to the whole country his intention to tax on everything. Yes, that was William Ruto some few days ago. Even M-Pesa, most likely, KRA will be zooming and having a look at maybe M-Pesa transactions. So you can see clearly, ladies and gentlemen, that William Ruto lied to these people. So William Ruto is putting in place measures that are just going to make life hard for this common man, these so-called hustlers. And William Ruto, one way of actually trying to address the current problems Kenyans are facing is by overtaxing Kenyans, taxing on everything. So William Ruto believes that if he taxes Kenyans more, then it's going to address the issues Kenyans are facing, not knowing that that is just going to increase the suffering amongst Kenyans. And just to borrow some words of wisdom, from former British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, who said this: for a nation to tax itself into prosperity is like a man standing in a bucket and trying to lift himself up by the handle. Winston Churchill. Yes, it's good sometimes to borrow some wisdom. That's former Britain Prime Minister. And he's making it very clear that for any country that is trying to to progress by taxing his people, then that's just an impossible kind of a mission. And that's exactly what William Ruto is trying to do here. Ruto believes that if everybody is taxed and increases tax, then maybe it's going to address the issues facing the common man. The truth of the matter, life is going to be more difficult for the so-called common man. And William Ruto can even face a lot of rebellion because as Kenyans are taxed more, it's almost very clear and certain corruption will also increase in government, because those who are corrupt in government will not stop being corrupt because Kenyans are now taxed more. In fact, they will have a larger pool to loot from. And according to Auditor General's report, Kenya loses about part of its annual budget to corruption. In William Ruto's government, it's almost a fact that corruption in Ruto's government might go up. And I'm saying that because if you look at the calibers William Ruto has nominated or others appointed to serve as cabinet secretaries, they are characters with some questionable behaviors and demeanors. So I'm seeing a very high possibility where corruption in William Ruto's government will most likely go up. And as it goes up, then you are now finding Kenyans being taxed more. So this tax that Kenyans are going to be paying will just be going to men and women's pockets as proceeds of corruption. And also, if you look at it from another angle, William Ruto expanded his government. And that's something that I've been maintaining here. Principal secretaries in Uhuru Kenyatta's government, there were 42. William Ruto has increased them to 49. State departments were 37. I think 37, 36. William Ruto has increased them to 43. So you are seeing William Ruto has also expanded his government. And this tax most likely will be used to maintain and to sustain those offices. So these taxes Kenyans are being taxed more will not benefit that so-called common man, but will just benefit a few dynasties in the government. So I'm seeing a very high possibility, ladies and gentlemen, where as time goes by, William Ruto is going to be more and more unpopular amongst Kenyans and amongst the so-called hustlers. Yes, that's a fact, ladies and gentlemen. And also, as I conclude, if an election was to be held today, chances are very high that William Ruto might even lack a narrative that he will now convince these hustlers to vote for him, because he convinced them using the Mama Mboga kind of a narrative. He gave them hope, and a good number of the hustlers might have believed him. And now, should an election be done, I'm not just seeing any possibility where these people might vote for William Ruto, because life is going to be more difficult for them as time goes by. So William Ruto sits in a very precarious situation, a situation that might lead to William Ruto serving as a one-term president. And that's a fact, ladies and gentlemen. William Ruto promised a lot to Kenyans, but is not even delivering half or even a quarter of what he promised. He's just making things bad and worse for the so-called Mama Mboga. Let me stop it there, ladies and gentlemen. If you are watching us for the very first time, subscribe, give this video a like. And to our fans and subscribers here, I'm very much humble, very grateful for the kind of support you're giving me here. If you want to support our channel, I've pinned my number on the comment section. Contact me through the number, or feel free to channel any contribution to the number. Let's meet in our next analysis. Thank you.